Doctor, are you living the dream or just dreaming of living? It is my honor to announce the PDA 20th Anniversary Special Conference this September 12th to the 14th in Frisco, Texas, the nation's leading course on dental practice growth. If you feel isolated as a leader who is frustrated that your schedule is unproductive, maybe your team is disjointed, or your systems are inefficient, this is the conference for you. The PDA 20th Anniversary Conference has all new features, including keynote speaker Emmitt Smith, who is a Pro Football Hall of Fame running back and entrepreneur. You can choose your own educational track to customize your learning experience. And when you register before July 1st, you will receive a 90-minute free meeting session that can help you boost and increase your productivity before you even attend the conference. Go to www.productivedentist.com and click the pop-up, or select Productive Dentist Academy Conference under the Dental CE and Events tab. That's www.productivedentist.com. Seating is limited. Register today, and we look forward to helping you make your dreams become reality.
And the reality is Memento Mori. The reality is we all are dying. We're all terminal. And so what are the things that are most important that you want to leave behind? I just want you to think about it.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Bruce B. Baird, and you're listening to the Productive Dentist Podcast. In this podcast, I will give you everything that I've learned over the last 40 years in dentistry, working with thousands of dentists. I'll tell you, it's not that my way is the only way. It's just one that has worked extremely well for me, and I'd love to share that with you, so you too can enjoy the choices and lifestyle that productivity allows. More time for things you love, increased pay, better team relationships, and lowered stress. Let's get into it with this week's episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast.
Hi, this is Dr. Bruce Baird with the Productive Dentist Podcast. Hope you guys are having a great week and looking forward to this week coming up. I'm going to be speaking at a meeting in Albuquerque called Thrive Dental. It's a great group of people, and I'm really looking forward to just sharing information about fiscal responsibility, which I thought they asked me to speak about physical, and I was like, what? Why do you want me to talk about that? And they said, no, fiscal, like money. And I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'm more than happy to spend time talking about that. But I digress. A few PDAs ago, I had a young dentist who I'm actually speaking for at Thrive. And he gave me a gift. And it was very interesting. I wondered, why on earth? He said, here's a ring. I want you to have this ring. We were at a cocktail reception, and I said, oh, I can't take this ring. I mean, that's beautiful, and it's actually a skull ring. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, well, thank you. And on the inside of the ring, it says Memento Mori. And I'm wondering, okay, well, what the heck is Memento Mori? And I mean, a lot of people have heard of that. I just never had. I'm going to be 68 years old, and I just don't know what Memento Mori means. And what Memento Mori means is remember, or kind of like this, remember you will die. And I'm like, oh, remember you will die. And the more I started thinking about that, and the more I started evaluating it, and then I started thinking about my life, and I started thinking about all the things I've done in my career. And I never really thought about dying, and I've always just kind of pushed forward and said, I'm just going to do this and do that. And I've always had lots of goals and strategies, and I love business, and I love Excel spreadsheets, and I love my family. I love my grandkids, and everything's great. But what I have started thinking about is, in our life, things are going great. Well, we don't really think about the things that are most important to us, and to me, that's family. Yes, we want to have a successful practice, and we're going to continue to do podcasts on successful practices and what things you need to do to make sure you get to the next level. But I think a lot of times we get so down in the dirt and down in the thought process of making a living and working hard and doing all that stuff. We forget that at some point in time, we're going to die. And I've had friends that were older that have passed on. And, I have one friend that just recently passed. I've talked about him in the past. He was my real estate guy here in town. Excuse me. And he passed away unexpectedly, actually, just a couple months ago. And he leaves behind, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars to the family. And he was a phenomenal individual, and he took care of a lot of folks. But I don't think he was ever thinking, I'm going to make all this money and then I'm going to die. And then what's going to happen? And, I start thinking about my past and going, all the things and all the work and all the things I've done. But I've said before, I think oftentimes I did all those things while sacrificing many things that were probably the most important things, which would be family, friends, legacy, because you just never know when it's going to happen. I had another friend last year passed away. He was going to retire 3 months. He was going to retire. And unfortunately, he had a brain aneurysm and died. So everything that we plan for, everything that we look for, yes, I want to teach you the business of dentistry. I want to help you understand financially how you can separate yourself so that you're not having to worry about it. I've told you guys my last 15 years in practice, I was working 2 days a week. It took me that long to realize what was important. And the things that we do is we want to help you increase your productivity so that you actually can work less and make more. Now, it's not about the money. As I've always said, it's about taking great care of patients. But what are the most important things to you? What are the things that are going to long outlive you? And for most of you, you're not my age. And so you don't get to see it from my perspective. So I share it with you. And it may hit home, it may not. If you were 21 years old or 25 years old, you may go, oh, I'm not worried about death. And I can understand that. I wasn't worried about it either. And I'm not worried about it now. However, I do think that there's things that you can do. Again, setting your business up, doing the things you need to do, and doing it with a total understanding that you're going to be as balanced as you can. That's where, your church, potentially your spiritual growth, I think that becomes really important. And the closer you get to death, people start getting really thinking that that's really important, but they forget about it early on. And what I'm saying is work on that spiritual growth every day. And that can be meditation. It can be reading the Bible. It can be doing whatever it is you do for that spiritual growth. It's important. Many of you are engineers, and I think probably a lot of dentists also have ADD. So we tend to hyper focus. And I think that can be a negative, but it also is a positive. You can hyper focus on something and get something done. Like the book I wrote back in 91 on implants, I wrote it over a period of 10 days. I just locked myself in a room and I said, I'm not coming out till I had a book finished. That was to the chagrin of my family, my girls having the basketball games or whatever. I just couldn't see the forest for the trees. And what I want you to think about is, what am I doing today that is going to be here long after I'm gone? What are the things that, legacy? What are the things that I'm doing? And a lot of that is going to be, the stories that, your kids, remember. And I told you early on, I went through divorce And I missed some of that. And I'm sad for it. I'm sad for it. And so, have I been able to make up for it? Well, I don't think you can ever make up for lost time, but I think you can focus on what you can and focus on the things that are going to be most important to you in the long run, which are trying to help your family, trying to help your kids, teaching lessons. My girls, I got a great chance to go a week and a half ago. I got a great chance to go with my oldest daughter and one of my grandsons to spring training for the Texas Rangers out in Surprise, Arizona. We had a blast. Now I'm thinking, okay, I want to be able to do this with all my grandkids. I want to be able to go and spend time. Now, yes, being financially stable is super important, but I think you can do both, and I think that that's the message I want to say. I've got buddies of mine that have just ground it out and burned out. They grind out dentistry and everything is about making money for the family and supporting the family, because that's what we think as a leader of our family. We think, oh, we've got to do this, and we can put everything else aside. What I'd say is, yeah, don't do that. Let's help you figure out what's going on in your practice. How can we maximize your time and increase your profitability? Because those, to me, allow you to have choices, to be able to do things that go on long after you're gone. And like I say, the older I've gotten, the more I've thought about, the older you get, the more you think about death. And I'm not worried about it. I'm working out. I'm doing all the things that I know to do. I get my blood drawn. I'm doing all the health things I can. I've actually really kind of quit drinking for about the last 30 days, just kind of seeing what it would do. And, hey, I feel great. So, it's like, my dad was, I think I've told you guys, he was an alcoholic and drank quite often. And I always wondered, am I one of those kind of guys? And, I joke with people. I said, well, I don't wake up in the morning and want to put Tito's in my Cheerios, but, I have a tendency when I drink, I tend to have too much fun. Well, I've kind of backed that off to say, is this really necessary? Is it what I want to do? I want to have a glass of wine whenever I want. That's fine. But I just don't want it to control where I'm at. And a lot of dentists find medications or alcohol or other things to, kind of numb things so that you don't have to face the reality. And the reality is Memento Mori. The reality is we all are dying. We're all terminal. And so what are the things that are most important that you want to leave behind? I just want you to think about it. I never really thought about it. And that ring, my friend Gavin gave that ring to me, and I was like, wow, interesting first. I was like, whoa, I was kind of taken aback. And then I realized what the ring really stood for is live for today, take great care of the people that God has put in your life. Take great care of your friends. Reach back out to people. Be the kind of friend you always wanted to be. I love that Tim McGraw song, live like you were dying, because we're all dying. And so the opportunity to do things, when you get an opportunity to go on a massive trip, okay, remember, hopefully you're going to be working for a long time, and hopefully you're going to continue to do very well in your business. But you have an opportunity to go on a big trip with a bunch of friends and stuff, and you're like, I can't do that. I don't want to spend the money. Well, I'm one of those dentists who's always outproduced what they want to do, but I do believe that you can have it all. You can take great care of your patients. You can take great care of your family, great care of your kids, great care of your grandkids. Does it take effort? Yeah, it takes some effort. You gotta want it. You gotta want to have that legacy. But the older you get, the more you're going to start thinking about that. Well, I'm going to challenge you to don't start thinking about it when you get older. Like my buddy who passed 4 months before he was going to retire. we always think, oh, once I get here, I'm going to do this. Once I get there, I can do this. Don't do that. What I'm telling you is be the kind, do the things you want to do, but set up your business so it allows you to do that. And really, that's what we do at PDA. We've been working with dentists for almost 20 years. And I want to make sure you get to do the things that you want to do and that you leave a legacy that you want to leave, whatever that is. I know this was kind of a heavy podcast, but it's something that has really made me think this last 6 months, to live like you were dying, go smile, have fun, go to the club and go play golf. But set up a business that is self-sustaining, one that's going to be successful even after you're gone. Because when you do that, you're going to find that your legacy will live on a lot longer, and you're going to affect people, forever, and I want your kids or your grandkids to be able to think back. I want mine to think back and go, Doc was awesome. He did this. We got to do that. We got to do this. And those are all things that are possible. So, hey, hope you guys have a great week, and I look forward to next week's podcast.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, make sure you subscribe. Pass it along to a friend. Give us a like on iTunes and Spotify, or drop me an email at podcast@productivedentist.com. Don't forget to check out other podcasts from the Productive Dentist Academy at productivedentistpodcast.com. Join me again next week for another episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast.